What happens when a black woman's kindness on a bus sparks vicious harassment? You won't believe how her shocking identity flips the script. Dear friends, help me reach my first 100 subscribers. Join us by subscribing to hear powerful stories of justice and triumph. I'm Senator Loretta Banks, 57, and I stepped onto that DC bus like it was my personal stage, my sensible flats hitting the floor with the kind of purpose that's carried me through decades of fighting for justice in the Senate. My name's etched in laws that protect folks who've been kicked down too long, but today, I was just Loretta, blending in with a plain blouse and slacks, my gray-streaked braids tucked under a scarf. I was headed to a community forum I'd pulled together to tackle housing inequity, my briefcase stuffed with policy drafts that could change lives. I was mentally running through my speech when I saw an elderly black man struggling to board, his cane shaking like it was about to give out. "Hey, sir, let me help," I called, jumping up to steady him. I took his arm, guiding him to my seat. "Take this one. I'm good standing." His eyes lit up, crinkling with gratitude. "You're a kind soul, miss. Ain't many stop for an old man like me." "Kindness runs in the family," I said, smiling, though my heart tugged. I thought of my mama, who'd faced her share of hate but taught me to hold my head high and help where I could. She'd been stopped in stores, followed like a thief, just for being black, and I carried her scars alongside my own. My phone buzzed, my aide, Carla, probably panicking about my ETA. I ignored it, settling into the aisle, gripping the pole as the bus jolted forward. For a moment, I felt grounded, connected to the city I'd fought for. That moment didn't last. A group of young white guys in the back started whispering, their snickers cutting through the rumble of the engine. I felt their eyes on me, sharp and cold, like I was some intruder. "Look at her, acting like she owns the place," one muttered, loud enough to bite. I rolled my eyes. Here we go, I thought, my chest tightening. I've faced worse in Senate hearings, old men in suits sneering at my bills, but this? This was raw, personal, the kind of hate that stings deep. "Hey, lady," the loudest one called, his voice thick with mockery. "Why you talking up space? Go sit in the back." I turned, my gaze slicing through him like a blade. "Excuse me? I'm fine right here, thanks." My voice was steady, but inside, a storm was brewing. Who do these punks think they are? I thought, my hands trembling, not from fear, but from a fury that's been simmering since I was a girl, stopped by cops for looking suspicious in my own neighborhood. I saw my daughter's face in my mind, her voice at 10 years old asking, "Mama, why don't they like us?" The pain of that question hit me hard, but I shoved it down, keeping my face stone cold. They laughed, feeding off each other. "She's got attitude," another said. "Just saying what everyone thinks. Bet she's one of those types always whining." Whining? I snapped, my sarcasm sharp as a whip. "Boy, you wouldn't know whining if it knocked you flat. Mind your own business." I turned away, hoping they'd shut up, but the ringleader, a tall, scrawny kid in a baseball cap, stood, stepping into the aisle with a smirk that screamed trouble. "You don't belong here," he said, his voice low and mean. "Go where you're wanted." The bus went silent. Passengers buried their faces in phones or stared out windows, acting like this wasn't their problem. The driver glanced in his mirror but kept driving. Typical, I thought, my heart pounding. I'd spent my life fighting for these folks, and now they wouldn't even look at me. "I belong wherever I damn well please," I said, voice low and dangerous. "Back off." He smirked wider, stepping closer. "Or what? Gonna cry about it?" His buddies cackled, and the sting of humiliation hit me like a slap, raw and familiar. I'm a senator, but right now, I was just a black woman in their sights. They think they can break me? I thought, jaw tight, my mama's voice echoing, "Never let you bend, Loretta." I wasn't bending, not today, not ever. What happened next turned everything upside down. You don't want to miss how this mess exploded. I stood firm in that bus aisle, gripping the pole like it was my lifeline. I'm Loretta Banks, a senator who's faced down racists in pinstripes, but these punks in hoodies? They were pushing buttons I didn't even know I still had. The tall kid, Cap Boy, I called him, was right up in my space, his smug smirk daring me to snap. Keep pushing, kid, I thought, my blood on fire. You're dancing with dynamite. Say that again, I challenged, my voice cutting through the thick air. Tell me where I don't belong. He laughed, glancing at his crew for props. You heard me. This ain't your place. Just saying what everyone thinks, you don't fit here. I stepped closer, eyes locked on his. I'm from D.C., born and raised, genius. Where'd you stumble in from? My sarcasm was a blade, but inside, I was shaking, not scared, but furious, the kind of rage that's been building since I was a kid, tailed in stores for no reason. I saw my daughter's face again, her little voice asking, Mama, why don't they like us, when a teacher singled her out for talking too loud. The memory burned, and the silence of the passengers around me made it worse. Not one of them looked up, not the woman clutching her purse, not the suit scrolling his phone. Cowards, I thought, my chest aching. I've fought for y'all, and you can't even spare a glance? Fit? I snorted. Boy, you wouldn't know fit if it kicked you. Back off before you regret it. I shot a look at the driver, still acting like he was deaf. You gonna step in, or is this your idea of a joyride? The driver mumbled, keep it civil, barely looking up. Civil? I thought, my jaw dropping. These fools are coming for me, and I'm supposed to play nice? Cat Boy leaned in, his voice dropping to a taunt. You're loud for someone standing alone. He nodded at the silent passengers, and my heart twisted. I felt the weight of their indifference, like a betrayal. I thought of my mama, how she'd stand tall in the face of hate, but even she'd admit it hurt when nobody had her back. Alone? I forced a laugh, masking the sting. I don't need a posse to school you. Sit down before you make a bigger fool of yourself. But he didn't move, and the air was so thick you could choke on it. My phone buzzed again, Carla, no doubt, wondering where I was. I was late, trapped in this nonsense, and my patience was dust. Then it got uglier. Cat Boy snatched my briefcase off the floor, holding it up like he'd won a prize. What's this? Stolen goods? His crew roared, and panic hit me hard. Those were my policy drafts, years of work for folks like the ones ignoring me now. I lunged for it, but he tossed it to his buddy, laughing like it was a game. Give it back, I growled, voice low and lethal. You're way past the line. Or what? He sneered, his buddy waving the briefcase. You gonna cry? I moved to grab it, but the bus lurched, and I stumbled, catching a seat. Passengers gasped, finally noticing. Now you care? I thought, glaring. My daughter's voice echoed again, why don't they like us, and I felt a crack in my armor, the pain of carrying this fight for so long. But I straightened, refusing to let them see me waver. The driver finally piped up, voice weak. Enough. Give her the bag. Cat Boy smirked, tossing it at my feet like garbage. I snatched it up, hands shaking with rage. These kids think they run the world, I thought, my mama's words steadying me. Keep standing, Loretta. I was standing, all right, and I wasn't done. The showdown's coming, and it's gonna hit like a freight train. Stay with me, you won't believe what's next. I held that briefcase like it was my anchor, heart pounding like a drum in a church choir. I'm Loretta Banks, a senator who's faced uglier fights than this, but these punks had me ready to unleash holy hell. Cat Boy was still smirking, thinking he'd won, his crew egging him on with snickers. The bus was a powder keg, every passenger dodging my gaze like I was trouble they didn't want. Cowards, I thought, rage burning. I was losing my grip, not on the pole, but on the calm I'd fought to keep. My daughter's voice echoed, why don't they like us, and I felt the weight of every time I'd had to answer her, every time I'd swallowed my own pain to keep her strong. You think you're slick? I said, stepping toward Catboy, voice low and venomous. "You're just a loudmouth with no idea who you're tangling with." He laughed, arms crossed, leaning in. "I know exactly who you are. Just another." "Another what?" I cut him off, eyes blazing. "Go on, say it. Let's hear that genius wisdom." My sarcasm was a weapon, but inside, I was teetering. I thought of Rosa Parks, how she sat firm on a bus like this, refusing to bow. I stood taller, channeling her steel, but the silence around me stung. Nobody spoke up, not a soul. I was alone, and for a split second, I wondered if I'd have to fight this out with no one in my corner. Catboy opened his mouth, ready to spew more venom. "You're just some loud." The bus screeched to a stop, cutting him off, and my aide, Carla, burst through the door like a hurricane in a blazer, phone in hand, face all business. "Senator Banks," she shouted, shoving past passengers. "You're late for the forum. The whole city's waiting, media, mayor, everybody." The air froze. Catboy's jaw hit the floor, his buddies looking like they'd seen a ghost. "Senator?" I could practically hear their brains grind to a halt. I turned to them, a slow smirk spreading across my face. "Surprise, boys. I'm Senator Loretta Banks. You just picked a fight with a U.S. Senator. How's that working out for you?" Carla, oblivious to the drama, grabbed my arm. "We gotta go. The mayor's pacing." But I didn't budge, staring Catboy down. His face was beet red, his swagger gone. "You're lying," he stammered, voice cracking. "Lying?" I chuckled, cold as ice. "Check the news, kid. My face is on it every day." I didn't flash my ID, I didn't need to. The truth was sinking in, and it was sweeter than peach cobbler. Passengers gasped, some pulling phones to record. "Now you're awake?" I thought, my sarcasm biting. I turned to them, voice sharp as a blade. "Y'all sat there like spineless cowards while I took this heat. Shame on you. Next time, stand up, or you're part of the problem." Catboy's buddy tugged his arm, whispering, "Man, we gotta bounce." But I wasn't done. "Hold up," I said, pointing at the driver. "You got cameras on this bus? I want every second of this on tape." The driver nodded, suddenly all cooperation. Funny how power shifts, I thought, my mama's voice in my head, "Never bend, Loretta." As I stepped off, Catboy muttered something, but I let it slide. I'd won this round, and they knew it. I stood there, thinking of Rosa, knowing I hadn't just stood for myself, I'd stood for all of us. They thought they could break me? I thought, heart still racing. They're about to learn what I'm made of. The fallout's gonna be seismic. Don't miss how this shakes the ground. I stormed into that community forum, Carla practically dragging me through the doors like I was dodging a curfew. I'm Loretta Banks, senator and battle-tested, but that bus fight still had my blood simmering. The church basement was packed, a sea of faces, black, brown, and a few white allies, all waiting to hear my housing plan. The air smelled like fried chicken and cornbread, the kind of spread we always bring to gatherings like this, and a faint hum of gospel drifted from a corner where a sister was warming up her voice. It felt like home, like the D.C. I'd grown up in, where we fight hard but love harder. I took the stage, gripping the mic, my heart heavy with what I'd just been through. "Good evening, family," I started, voice fierce but warm. "Before we get to housing, let me tell you what just happened. I was harassed on a city bus, not for anything I did, but for being black. A pack of young guys told me I didn't belong, and not one passenger had my back. I stood there, thinking of Rosa Parks, knowing I couldn't let them push me out. The room exploded, gasps, shouts of "no," and "tell it." An elder in the front row, his hair white as cotton, shook his head, muttering, "I saw this in the 60s, same old mess." I nodded at him, feeling the weight of our shared history. "This ain't new," I said. "It's every day for us. But I'm not here to cry, I'm here to build a future where we all belong. The crowd roared, hands clapping, feet stomping, gospel swelling behind me. Phones lit up, capturing every word. By nightfall, my story was everywhere: CNN, X, local stations. Hashtag Stand With Loretta trended, and my inbox overflowed with messages from folks who'd been through it. A black nurse profiled at a pharmacy, a Latino dad stopped for looking wrong. We're not alone, I thought, my heart aching but fierce. But the hate came too, threats on X, calling me a race baiter. I deleted them, muttering, I'm not here for your circus, CNN can keep their interviews. The transit authority called, groveling with apologies. Save it, I snapped. I want that footage, and those kids need to answer for this. They stuttered, but I wasn't playing. That night, my sister, Diane, showed up at my house, arms crossed, her face a mix of pride and worry. Loretta, you're out here starting wars again, she said, handing me a plate of collards. We're with you, but you gotta watch your back. These folks don't play fair. I know, sis, I said, hugging her tight. But I can't stop now. This is for us, all of us. Diane sighed, but her eyes said she'd fight beside me, like always. My husband, James, called from a conference, voice tense. You okay, baby? I saw the news. I told him I was fine, but his worry lingered, a reminder of the family that holds me up. We planned a rally that week, packing the same church basement. The smell of fried chicken hit me again, and the choir's gospel lifted my soul. Elders shared stories of the 60s, younger folks spoke of recent stops by cops. This is our city, I told them, voice rising. We won't be silenced. The elder from the forum stood, pointing at me. You're our Rosa now, sister. Keep standing. Cap Boy, real name Jake Turner, was identified from the bus footage. His parents called my office, pleading. He's just a kid, his mom said, voice shaky. He didn't know you were a senator. Doesn't matter, I said, ice in my tone. He knew I was human. That should have been enough. I wanted accountability, not jail. Jake showed up at my office, pale and twitchy, mumbling, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I leaned forward, eyes hard. You meant every word, Jake. You thought you could talk like that because nobody'd check you. Now you'll learn. I told him he'd speak at the rally, own his actions publicly, or face worse. The fight's burning hotter, and I'm not letting up. Stay for the final stand, you won't believe how this lands. A year later, I stood at that same DC bus stop, the city skyline shimmering like a promise. I'm Loretta Banks, senator, fighter, and a woman who doesn't back down. The rally we'd sparked grew into a movement: new transit rules, diversity training for drivers, cameras on every bus. Today, we unveiled a mural at the stop, a vibrant tribute to our resilience, my face painted alongside Rosa Parks and others who'd stood firm. The crowd, families, activists, our community, sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing," the anthem lifting our spirits like a prayer. My eyes stung, but I held it together, feeling Mama's pride from above. This is ours, I told them, mic in hand, voice steady. We're not just passengers, we're the ones driving change. The choir hummed behind me, and the smell of fried chicken wafted from a nearby table, reminding me of every church gathering that fueled our fight. An elder nodded, his voice low, "You did us proud, sister." Jake was there, quieter now, working at our community center. At the rally, he'd faced the crowd, voice shaking, and said, I was wrong. I hurt Senator Banks and our community. I'm learning, and I'll keep showing up. Some folks clapped, others crossed their arms, skeptical. I respected both. Trust is earned, not given. His college buddies shunned him, and his neighborhood whispered, but he kept coming back. That was his karma, and it felt right. My housing bill passed that spring, saving thousands from eviction. At the signing, I thought of that bus, those silent passengers, and the movement we'd built. My sister, Diane, was there, squeezing my hand. Mama would have loved this, she whispered. I nodded, thinking of my daughter, now a lawyer, carrying the torch. A teenage girl approached after the ceremony, braids swinging, eyes bright. Senator, I'm gonna be a lawyer like you. How do I start? I smiled, heart full. You've already started, baby girl. Keep speaking truth, keep fighting. You're stronger than you know. She grinned, and I saw my daughter in her, my mama, all of us. As the crowd sang, I looked out at DC, my city, our city. The struggle wasn't over, hate still lingered, and the system was still cracked, but we'd carved out hope, brick by brick. I'm still swinging, I thought, Mama's voice clear, never bend, Loretta. And I won't, not now, not ever.